Shalom. Easter and the Jews. Of course, Easter is a day when Christians celebrate the resurrection of the man they believe to be God. Jews completely reject that idea that a person could be God. The Bible says clearly God is not a man. But the idea of crucifixion is not anything unique to that story. There are tens of thousands or more people who were killed, including thousands of Jews, crucified by the Romans in that period. That was one of the main ways the Romans had of killing people. Now, the question about Jewish participation, which would be a Good Friday issue more, you can see my video, Jewu number 300. And that talks about the evidence about and the issue about Jews and their participation in the death of Jesus and why Jews shouldn't be blamed for it. Now, on the issue of resurrection, Jews we pray every day that God resurrects the dead. And the second blessing of the Amida, which we say 3 times a day, says, Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hametim, resurrect the dead, revives the dead. And clearly there's a reference to resurrection in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, and in Daniel about rising from the dust. Maimonides' Principles of Faith believes that in number 13 in resurrection of the dead. So these are basic Jewish beliefs. If you want to learn more about it, you can see my video, Jewu 179. But the larger issue, I think, for modern religion is the whole notion of the point of Jesus dying and being resurrected. That he died for, according to Christians, to forgive them for their sins, to redeem them from their sins. Now, Jews used to have cathartic atonement like that too. We abandoned it 2,000 years ago, around the time of Jesus, when the Second Temple was destroyed by the Romans in the year 70, and we no longer sacrificed animals. Coincidentally, this year, Easter comes at a time when we're reading in the book of Leviticus, the first couple of portions. In fact, the day before Easter in 2008 was Parshat Tzav, which details the sacrifices. And some of those sacrifices were for atonement purposes. When the high priest and the priest would offer those sacrifices, the sins of the individual and the community were forgiven. In some sense, Jesus came to symbolize that general forgiveness and atonement. But Jews moved way away from that. We think in a much more advanced way, where individuals must atone for their own sins. We have the basic mechanisms that are outlined in Leviticus 16 of Yom Kippur, where you atone for sins, you pray for forgiveness, you fast, you fix whatever mistakes you made, you promise not to do it again, and then God hopefully forgives you. And that is we think, much more spiritually powerful way of achieving forgiveness for sins. And the Catholics have some of that, in a sense, in their whole question of the person going to a priest and confessing, because the essence of Yom Kippur is the vidui, the confessional, where we publicly announce the communal sins, not individually, and we beat our chests in asking for forgiveness. And so, as Christians believe that Jesus died for forgiveness for their sins, Jews used to have a system like that through the animal's sacrifice, but today we have personal, not cathartic, third-party atonement, but personal atonement directly from us to God, asking for our forgiveness for our transgressions. Through not only Yom Kippur, but 3 times a day in our Amida, we say, please forgive me for the sins that I have committed. And so we have constant efforts to redeem ourselves from transgression by asking God to forgive us. Shalom.